All righty, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Late to Work podcast. Today we're talking about YNW Melly. If you haven't seen the prosecution's opening statements episode, I recommend you maybe go do that. It's a great video. Today we're going to be talking about his defense's opening statements. YNW Melly was charged with double murder for the 2018 shooting of his two friends and rap associates. He's better known as Jamel. Well, his name's Jamel Demons is his real name. YNW Melly, known for "Murder on My Mind." That's one of his songs. Anyways, I like his defense. I think they're great. Anyways, here's a little bit of here's basically them saying the only reason they charged him is because he's basically a celebrity.
Detective Moretti saw a video of Mr. Demons getting into a car 40 plus minutes before bodies were found in that car. And then he discovered that Mr. Demons was a rising star. And from that point on, he decided he's the only person that could have committed this crime. Because if you're involved in prosecuting a star, you become a star. This was his big break. And he had tunnel vision, and he zeroed in on this person, this young man, as the only possible perpetrator of that crime, to the exclusion of all other leads and evidence. There's a difference between cases that are investigated and cases that are fabricated. When a case is investigated, the state uses all its resources, its investigators, its experts, and all its energy to identify leads and run them to ground. When a case is fabricated, first a target is chosen, and then the state uses all its resources, its investigators, its experts, and its energy to run that target into the ground.
Yeah, so basically, instead of taking all the leads that you get and running with them, you find your suspect, your tunnel vision on him, and you will fabricate evidence to support your basically what your brain wants in that. Anyways, so I'm gonna go into a little bit more. Here we go.
Fail to tell you is that phone comes back.
So what he's talking about here is basically some of the only evidence the prosecution has is that his phone traveled with the deceased folks' phone during the time of the murder.
To the name of somebody other than Jamal Demons. What they forgot to tell you is that their own witness will tell you that yes, that phone and Mr. Williams' phone and a number of other phones were all in the same account, and all of the people in the house used to use them interchangeably. But they're assigning it to him.
So that they were saying that all their phones were on the same account, and basically they're all just using each other's phones.
Because that is consistent with their theories. They don't follow leads. They have no motive. Investigation was botched. The investigation, as a matter of fact, is still going on as we speak, up to a couple months ago. Yet they're here telling you they have proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Alrighty.
She's right about that. The law doesn't require her to prove motive. But you know what does require motive? A young man to wake up one day and decide that he's going to kill two of his best friends. Best friends that he grew up with, best friends that he hangs out with, best friends who he lives with, best friends whose careers he was trying to launch alongside his own. They have no reason for why he would do this, because there is no reason. And if there's no reason, it doesn't make sense. And if after 4 years of investigation, the state comes and says, hey, he killed 2 of his friends, his best friends, and you're wondering why, and their answer is, oh, I don't know. That's the first indication that they're just guessing and don't know what they're talking about. And that, ladies and gentlemen, by itself is reasonable doubt.
Reasonable doubt, baby. That's all it takes. Reasonable doubt. Alrighty, so basically we're going to go into the defense talking about how there was many other suspects and many other leads that were brought to their attention, and the detectives just never followed up with those leads. Pretty bad. Anyways, so let's go right here. So Cortland Henry, the other guy in the vehicle, suspect number 1.
Henry. Ms. Bradley started her opening statement by describing some of the lies that he told, as though to impute them to Mr. Demons. Those were not Mr. Demons' lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with 2 dead bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, gunpowder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm.
Yeah, so basically what happened is Cortland Henry showed up to the hospital with 2 dead bodies in his car saying, we were in a drive-by. And long story short, they went and looked at camera footage. YNW Melly and a couple other guys were getting into the Jeep. And so basically, and they proved the drive-by to be false. They basically, it was a staged drive-by.
And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones in that car. There were 3 people in that car. So they take him at his word, despite suspicious circumstances, and they let him go on his way. They soon discover that he's lying about the location of this incident.
Did you see how they slipped that in, that there was only 3 people in the car, the 2 dead people, and not YNW Melly is basically what he's saying?
And they went back to him, and they labeled him a victim. And they said, we know you're scared. Tell us what happened. He lies to them again. They let him go. And they know where he went. They know the location that he went. They know the house that he went to right after. And any investigator worth his salt would have thought to maybe execute a search warrant on that location.
Yeah,
to see if you find any bloody clothes, any DNA, any blood.
Want a second income stream? Because if you can download an app from the App Store, then you can now build a
weapon, maybe? You guys are probably familiar with the series First 48. That's founded on the proposition that if you botch an investigation within the first 48 hours, you've pretty much botched it for good. It's 48 months plus later. They still haven't served a search warrant on that location. Why? Moretti already had his man. What's the point of an investigation?
Basically, they're getting at that once they found the YNW Melly was friends with these guys and in the car before the murder, that they wanted him to be their suspect, no matter what evidence they found contrary to that.
Find out what happened. He's using all his resources to try and prove what he has already concluded did happen.
Yeah, you already have a preconceived notion on what you want to be the case and who you want to be the suspect. Anyways, so the defense goes on and on about other suspects that they just let slide under the rug.
After Portland Henry, lead number 2, a gentleman named Montrell Roll, and his sister, Nia Hewitt. Who are they? Well, another police department came into possession of jail calls between those two that occurred within 3 days after the murders, and discussed what they describe as intimate details of the murders. Intimate details means details that are not in the public domain. So 3 days after, these two people are discussing the details of a murder.
Yeah, let's just discuss the details of a murder over a jail phone. God. No wonder why you're in jail.
They go out and interview Miss Hewitt. They don't interview Mr. Roll. And they ask her, well, how did you know all these intimate details? Oh, I heard it, something to the effect of I had word on the street. Doesn't say when she heard it. Doesn't say who she heard it from. Case closed. They move on. That's lead number 2. That was ignored. Then there's Robert Coburn. Who is he? He is a gentleman that owns a social media account by the name of Backwards. This social media account, almost immediately, within days after these murders, posts this message: LOL, we killed 2 of your niggas. Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Took him 7 months.
God, people are so dumb posting that kind of shit.
To go and talk to Mr. Coburn.
Someone posts that on Facebook and it took him 7 months to go talk to him.
The owner of this account that posts what amounts to an unequivocal confession to involvement in that murder, in those murders. 7 months. Why? Moretti already had his guy. And when they go and talk to Mr. Coburn, what does he say? He said, oh, I created that account and I sold it for $20 to somebody else. Who'd you sell it to? Oh, I can't remember. Were you at the murder scene? No. Did you do it? No. Case closed. That's it. No more investigation. It would occur to a reasonable person, let alone a seasoned investigator acting in good faith. Why would somebody buy an Instagram account when you can create one for free?
Yeah, and let's not even look any further. It's a little sketchy. All right, let's move on to more suspects that they should have called out.
There are several other people who are potential suspects who were not tracked down. You are going to hear about them during the course of this trial. But beyond that, 3 years after arresting this young man and sticking him in a cell, the state looks at its case and says, oh man, this looks a little incompetent. Miramar Police seems to have botched this investigation, and they call the Broward Sheriff's Office and ask them to come and look at the investigation upon which this entire prosecution rests.
3 years into an investigation, you're like, hey guys, you want to come help? It's looking a little bad over here.
And he looks at it, and he says he instantly knew he had to start from scratch. I think his words were, "It was the worst thing I had seen in my life."
That's
This
pretty
is the
bad.
Broward Sheriff's Office evaluating the work product of the Miramar Police Department. And we have problems with the Broward Sheriff's Office redo as well, but you're going to hear about that during the course of this trial. Ladies and gentlemen, the murder of anybody and the murder of these two young men is a tragedy. You're not here to solve a crime. That's their job, and they have watched it.
Yeah, that's their job, and they haven't done it. Basically what he's saying. All right, more suspects.
David Hedgepath. Who is he, you might wonder? He had a Twitter account called Crucial Almighty. He posts a confession to this murder. Something to the effect of, "We coming at that Jeep." Can't remember the quote. You're going to hear about it. And essentially it was a confession to involvement in the murders. It took them a year and a half to go and talk to him. They knew about it a year and a half earlier. Took them a year and a half to go and talk to him. Why do you do that unless you've already concluded that you know who committed the crime, you've already determined who your defendant will be? And when they go to this young man and ask him, well, actually before, this is a year and a half before, they said, "Oh, we've determined that he was just trying to start an internet beef to advance his career." Who told him that? Without talking to a soul. So it took them a year and a half to go down there and track him down. And when they do go and track him down, they say, "Hey, did you commit the murder?" "No." "Were you in the area?" "No." "Where were you?" "Well, I could have been at work." "At work where?" "Any one of 3 places." "Okay, could you give me a work schedule?" As though that would prove anything. He says, "Well, I can get it now." "Oh, no, don't worry about it. Just email it to me." Really? And he doesn't even do that. There is no report that he even follows up and sends him an email of this mysterious work schedule proving that he wasn't at the location. They conclude, "Oh, he's not there. Wasn't him. Case closed."
Yeah, let's move on.
Is that how we do this now?
All right. There's another suspect. Basically, the defense, what they're focusing on for their opening is that they had tunnel vision on Melly. He's a star, so they wanted to, take him on so that the prosecutor could get some clout. I don't know. Anyways, I said it in my other video about prosecution's opening statements. I do not like the prosecutor. I think she's a maniac. I think she sucks at her job. There was several moments where her emotions got the best of her. She jumps up. She was sneaking evidence in that was already ruled that couldn't come in. There was a motion for a mistrial because of a discovery violation that she had. But anyways, here's the defense saying something about, she's charming. Miss Bradley is charming, but she's all right at her job in some aspects, basically saying she didn't do her job very well.
You do not. Miss Bradley is charming. She's good at her job in some respects.
In some
But
respects.
this is not a pop.
Mostly not.
We don't give hey, good effort. We don't give participation awards. This man's life is hanging in the balance. And if there is a scintilla of reasonable doubt, you must have the courage to speak up and say so. You're not here to judge him. You're here to judge the sufficiency of their case. They have a big task in front of them. We should probably get to it.
Mr. Howard, thank you.
They got a big task. They better get to it. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Late to Work podcast covering the YNW Melly double murder trial. This was the defense's opening statements. Go take a look at my other video. You can look at the prosecution's opening statements. Compare the two. Look forward to more videos to come about this trial. Please like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Indeed.